protagonist had been tricked by his therapist and was sent yet again to the Expanse. And at the Expanse, he stumbles upon 3 men in black type of suit-wearing, intercom communicating person. 3 of them actually, 2 female, 1 male, talking in the intercom with the gun that previously the therapist was using to threaten him, our protagonist. So he ran away when he saw that, and when he heard the creature scream and screech, he started running away. But he didn't find no exit. He instead stumbled upon another dimension. This one seems like an imitation of a school with blue lockers and white tiles. And this is where we left our story. Now, if you're ready, let's get into it. After looking through the classroom a bit more, I discovered an old backpack resting in the corner behind the desk. I picked it up, unzipped it, and looked through all the pouches for anything inside. There wasn't much of note besides dust and crumbs. However, I figured it would be a useful item to have with me, so I kept it with me, returned over to the teacher's desk, and grabbed the notebook and pen I had been using to document events, after which I put them inside and set the backpack straps over my shoulder, tightening them in the event I needed to move quickly to prevent it from easily falling off. I made my way over to the door before pushing away the desk I had used as barricades, the metal legs scraping against the floor making me visibly cringe. Once they were moved aside, I approached the door, letting my face hover close to the glass as I looked out into the hallway. There was still no sign of whatever it was that had been breathing and making those footsteps, which was good. I needed to take the opportunity to get out of this room and keep moving before it came back. I took a deep breath, mentally preparing myself before I opened the door. The longer I stayed here, the less I felt like I would be able to escape. But I did it once, and I can do it again. That much was comforting, but not a whole lot. I opened the door, taking my first steps back out into the imitation of a school hallway. It looked no different than before until I looked to the right. Shockingly, the repetitive yellow wall area of the Expanse that led into the school layer was no longer. It was the exact same hallway I'd run down when escaping from those mercenaries, soldiers, whatever you'd call them. But instead, at the end of the hall with the blue lockers lining the walls on either side was just a solid plain wall. And it was as smooth as a wall could possibly be. I was now met with another strange element to deal with. The fact that the Expanse layout and features seemed to change periodically without any true pattern or logic. At least I think that was the case, unless I was truly losing my mind. I headed off to the left, turning down another hallway that maintained a consistent design and appearance as one previously, not to mention the other abandoned classroom and even what looked to be a worn-down computer lab, with the monitor screens being smashed and cracked along with some having fallen off the floor. I did give the lab a second glance, keeping a lookout for any computers and monitors that looked intact enough for me to try and use, but it was nothing more than self-amusement at that point. Even if there was one in working order, who's to say it would ever obey the rules of a computer back in reality? After looking around for just a few minutes, I eventually gave up and headed deeper circled back around. After mindlessly wandering for several more minutes, I eventually came to a staircase leading up to a supposed second floor. The stairs themselves look unstable and dilapidated at best, with what looked to be rust and rot running along the walls, accompanied by cracks with what looks to be weeds growing out of them. Before going in, I reached out with my right foot and placed it on the first step, half expecting it to collapse just from that minuscule amount of force, but it held, giving me just enough assurance to take another. And once I felt comfortable enough to begin climbing, I heard something that made my heart skip several beats. I stopped, frozen as I made a lean forward to keep myself out of the line of sight from the stairway entrance. Coming from outside the doorway where the staircase was located was footsteps. Heavy but slow and potent footsteps. But not only that, there was breathing as well. It was just as deep and hoarse as it was unsettling. The creature that was looking for me while I was hiding inside the classroom. It was coming, and there I was, just sitting duck out in the open. I immediately started to move up the stairs as quietly as I could, skipping multiple steps and placing my feet down as lightly as humanly possible. Luckily, the padding on the bottom of my shoes was able to keep my movement on the quieter side of things, so I was able to be quick without making much noise. But I didn't feel like I was moving fast enough, because every second counted, and with every one that passed, the louder the breathing and the footsteps became. Part of me wasn't even sure I would make it to the top in time before the creature entered the stairwell. But I kept moving, kept pushing myself, because it was quite literally life or death. I was careful, making sure not to throw too much weight on any section of the stairs that looked too unstable. I kept my eyes on what was below me, cautious not to slip up. But just as the breathing had reached the doorframe, I was only on the last few steps, just feet away from the top. I was thanking every god that I could think of that was gonna make it without that thing seeing me. That is, until on the very last step I slipped and my foot dislodged a chunk of material from it, sending it crashing down the staircase below me and breaking apart more and more with each step it collided with. The footsteps outside the stairwell suddenly ceased, and so did my movement. I held my breath, turning to look back down at the doorway. The silence was deafening, and I didn't dare move a muscle, not yet. The creature, whatever it was, let out a low, surprised snarl. I could hear it sniffing the air from outside the doorway, and that's when I seized the opportunity to more or less throw myself up to the top of the stairs. I landed as quietly as I could, just before looking up to see more or less a similar layout to the first floor. However, to my right was what looked to be the school library. I could hear the creature as it entered the stairwell and began climbing up at a moderate speed after me. So I turned and made a mad dash into the library to hide as it tailed me, still not getting a look at its appearance. The library itself looked just as abandoned and as dilapidated as the rest of the building. None of the shelves even had books. But I didn't have time to think about it. I frantically looked around for several seconds before laying eyes on what looked to be the circulation desk with an office behind it. I could hear that the creature was a little over halfway up the staircase, and I was running out of time to find a place to hide. I quickly made my way around the circulation desk and bolted for the door to the office behind, praying with every fiber in my being that it wouldn't be locked. I threw my hand on the knob, hearing that the entity was now at the top of the stairwell, its breathing very rapid and almost angry in nature. I turned the knob, only for the door to not budge at all. I tried again and again, finding no more success than my first desperate attempt. So I did the only thing that would save me from becoming a bloody smear on one of these walls. I crouched down and moved up against the desk. The top of it was offset just enough to hide me if the beasts were to peek over. Speaking of which, I heard its breathing as it entered the library, its footsteps coming to a sudden stop as it seemed to sniff the air. I thought it was over right there and then it would detect my scent and kill me right on the spot. Yet nothing came. Didn't stop my life from flashing before my eyes though. My cheeks were going red from holding my breath as the creatures continued to stay idle and scan the library. Moments that felt like years passed, but the thing eventually lost interest, and I heard it turn and exit the library into the hallway from which it came. Although it didn't go down the stairs, not according to my ears anyway. I waited for several minutes before I even dared to peek my head out in the open, cautiously lifting myself up and over the edge of the desk to take a look around. I was alone, or at least my eyes told me that I was, but I wasn't sure if I could even trust that at this point. Needed to keep my head on tight though. I quickly but quietly climbed over the desk before turning to my left and finding what looked to be an opening to the school gym on the opposite end of the library. And it was either that or going through the same doorway that thing just did mere minutes ago. I made the obvious choice and headed for the gym. It was of course dimly lit, or looked to be that way from inside the library, but once I crossed the doorway, I got the full scope of its appearance. It was dilapidated, just as the rest of this place was. That was expected. There were fluorescent lights hanging by a thread from the ceiling. The floor was abundantly cracked and dirty. The basketball hoops, backboards possessed only about half the glass they should, with the nets also being worn down and hanging halfway off the rim. It was a ridiculously large gym, much bigger than the one my school possessed, so every step I took made me feel like an ant walking across a king-sized bed, and despite the fact that I knew I was alone, I couldn't help the feeling of being watched. It made me speed up a bit, as well as taking a couple of glances around me for good measures, but I didn't hear or see anything that moved, and maybe that was the problem. I got just less than halfway across the court. I came upon a certain section of worn-down bleachers that appeared stained with mold, which led all the way up each step until it hit the wall. I took a look at the wall itself, the part that was just above the top step of the bleachers, seeing that there was something written on it, what I seemed to be in blood. Don't go in the water. It only raised more questions than answers, as there weren't a drop of any actual water in sight. The ominous sentence had made me think about just how many other people had also gotten stuck in this part of the expanse and were never able to tell their stories. Decided it was best to leave the bleachers alone though. The less of the environment I involved myself with, the better. At this point, I was practically jogging towards the door. There wasn't anything pursuing, nothing that I could hear or perceive in any way, but regardless of that fact, I still wanted to get the hell out of the area. I took one last look back, seeing that the doors that I entered through from the library were now connected to what looked to be another dilapidated classroom. The expanse had changed its environment yet again. Part of me had pondered if it was possible or not to actually see the shifts occur myself in a wide, massive, and empty cafeteria. It was what you'd expect from a public school as far as the general decor and design. The scale of the room itself was a bit large, but not ridiculously so. Seems like every room in here was just slightly larger than it should have been. The long and rectangular dining tables were strewn about, with some being upside down or flipped around in various ways. They were also beaten to hell with chunks of woods, missing from some corners and sides, that wasn't mentioning the cobwebs strung up in between the seats, and yet there was a single insect or ant to be found. This cafeteria had 2 hallways on either end acting as exit. I opted for the hallway on the left as I had seen a couple of doors that looked ajar. But what they actually led to was a mystery from the angle I was at. Everything seemed so lifeless, and yet you were always under the impression that you were not alone. There was still no windows that allowed me to see what might be on the outside of all this. Although part of me wondered if I look out and just see nothing but a black void. It had become more than clear to me at this point that I wasn't on Earth anymore. Regardless, I made it to the opening of the hallway and immediately darted into the first open door I saw, reaching behind myself to slowly shut it as quietly as possible. This next room was probably the most normal out of everything I had seen so far, by the standards of the expanse anyway. It was a simple natatorium. It was on the bigger end of things as far as dimensions, like the rooms before it, but nothing that I hadn't seen in schools back on Earth. And it was surprisingly sterile and intact looking, not as nearly as worn and torn as the rest of the building. It had all the white and blue tiled floor, the diving boards, the lanes in the pool, and the potent smell of chlorine, although it was a bit dimly lit, making it difficult to see what was beneath the surface of the water. However, on the edges of the pool were white, rectangular signs that, on any other pool back in reality, would usually list the depth of a particular section. And this pool had those, except they didn't display any numbers or typical units of measurement. However, on the edges of the pool were white rectangular signs that on any other pool back in reality would usually list the depth of a particular section, and this pool had those, except they didn't display any numbers or typical units of measurements. Instead, there was just the letter X painted in black ink on each one. I raised an eyebrow before shifting to the edge of the pool and peering over, the eerie silence only furthering tension that should have been present. Now pretty much all natatorium pools usually allows you to see the bottom, but this one didn't. Not even a little bit. I sat there puzzled as I focused hard and squinted my eyes to locate the floor of the pool. But the harder I tried, the more I only saw just an endless dark blue abyss. It looked to not even have the bottom at all, and if it did, it definitely wasn't anywhere near reasonable enough to swim to. And speaking of, I caught movement in the corner of my eyes just as I was about to look away. It came from closer to the right end of the pool, just about where my peripheral vision ended. The depth of the pool was consistent across the entire thing, even where you think it would have or should have been shallow. I turned my head to focus in on whatever it was. I squinted, once again spotting the black mass slowly inching towards my end of the pool. It had to be more than 30 feet in length alone, with the width being around 5. 3 months ago, I would have assumed what I was seeing in that moment was nothing more than my sense thing I could, I turned around and made my way to walk right out of the natatorium. I didn't want to bother sticking around to finding out any more information about whatever it was swimming around there. I didn't have the tools to do a damn thing about it anyway. But as soon as I had to reach the door and put my hands on the knob, I froze. The breathing, the footsteps. I heard it again, and it was right outside the door. That thing, it was back. And this time I finally caught a glimpse of its hideous appearance through the glass in the door. The creature wasn't very tall, just under 6 feet by my estimation, but that didn't do anything to take away from its grotesque nature. Not even a little. Its body shape resembled that of an overweight human, maintaining a bipedal stance as it walked. Its skin was a sickly grey colour, with it looking like it had been forcibly stretched over the bones and muscle of the beast. Its face possessed not a single feature, giving it the appearance of a sheet of metal. Its most disturbing feature, however, was that of the 2 long and thin appendages protruding from its shoulder. They were bent at a near perfectly 90-degree angle about 2 feet out, both of them covered in these disgusting bumps that traveled up the length of the appendages all the way down to the bent section. The creature turned its faceless head and pointed it right at the glass in the door. Sure, it had no eyes, but I knew somehow, some way, it could see me clear as day. The breathing was so present and potent as well, despite the lack of a mouth. Everything about it was just wrong, and it was somehow even more horrific and hideous than the centipede creature. To say I was stuck between a rock and a hard place wasn't a stretch.